I know the path of love because love is who I am. I feel the path of love because love is what I am. I walk the path of love because love is where I am. And I create the path of love because love is how I live. Today we are talking about heartbreak and heartache, which both intertwine with the energy of love. And although heartbreak and heartache are energies that feel so sometimes wrenchingly unnerving and frustrating and painful and all the other feelings you might describe them to be, they are an important part of our human experience and something that we all go through, no matter who we are, where we live, how much money we have, what we own, what we do, what we drive, etc., etc. And so today, my hope is to help you learn how to get comfortable with the discomfort of your heart breaking open, quite possibly to more love, if that is how you choose to see it. Hi, my name is Shasta May Hernandez, they, them, their pronouns, and I am your non-binary spirit guide. Now, in this video, I really thought it was important to sit with these energies as we're in Libra season, though this video you can watch at any point. It will potentially hit or feel resonant for you at any moment of your life as you have experienced heartbreak or heartache and or are currently experiencing it. And if you have not ever in your life, or you don't know if you have, you might very well at some point. And all I can say is that I am sorry that it has happened if it has been painful for you, if it has been uncomfortable, or any other negative or low vibrational feeling that you might label it to be. Though I do believe it is a very important part of living out the fullness of this human expression, no matter your age, and especially as you ebb and flow, right? As you grow and change throughout your life, it is an opportunity to learn how to fall more deeply in love with you, with your own life, with your own purpose. And my hope is that as you watch this video or at the end, you are feeling a sense of some direction toward that path. Even if you are currently in relationships that are overly abundantly loving and happy, and you haven't experienced heartbreak or heartache for a long time, that is so wonderful and great. And maybe there's something here that can help you just move a little closer to the love in your heart for yourself, to find new ways to love yourself, to find new areas of yourself to love on, new pieces of yourself to love on, new parts of your life, of your work to love on more. And I do this not only because heartbreak and heartache are areas of our lives where I feel we could use more support, but also because I do believe that we could use more love in this world. And if we can see the other energies of heartache and heartbreak as a part of the journey of love, right? Part of the journey of your life in love, it can be, a beautiful story, right? And it doesn't have to just be for the story, but at the same time, I have a belief that our lives are a love story. It's really the love story of you. And that's not to say that you are the only person in this universe, or you are the complete center, right? But in your story, you are the main character if you choose to be. And whether or not you choose to be, it's still something that you can experience in your life. And heartache and heartbreak, as much as I have gone through them, they always teach me something, right? There's a way to see the silver lining, to find the lesson within that, And in there is the gold, right? In there is the moment of transformation and change, is the moment to still embrace love, to still put yourself out into the world. And this isn't just talking about romantic love, right? Heartbreak and heartache can be felt for anyone, for any type of relationship where love existed. And this can even be with the self. And in terms of the self, I'll give you an example. So I was told, you know, I am a girl and this is how a girl is in the world and this is what you are to do. And I was happy to play that part for so long in my life because I really was quite disconnected from myself and who I really was. As I grew and I changed and I realized and healed a lot of things and realized, you know, that isn't the totality of who I am. And any other labels that I may put on myself is not the totality of who I am. I do believe that at the heart, I'm a light energy. And a part of that light can turn into something like the energy of love. And as I fell deeper into that love with myself, the transition and change I went through caused so much heartache and heartbreak in my life because so many relationships had to change as a result of my own changing. And it was difficult in some ways. There were some things that I thought I was ready to say goodbye to that I wasn't. And it caused heartbreak and heartache within myself, you know, almost a longing for old pieces of me that I was really comfortable in because the parts that felt newer felt uncomfortable, right? In some ways, even though it actually felt more natural for me to move into this, there was so much conditioning and patterning around who I was before, around how I showed up in the world, especially around people pleasing, especially around you know, following a certain pathway in my life to make other people proud. And I realized, okay, I can get through this, you know? And the way through was to continue pouring more love into myself and to continue fostering that energy in every aspect of life. That's one example of how you might see that as a self. I do believe every day as human beings, we grow and we change, and that brings us inevitably to grief. The grief of saying goodbye to the old self of yesterday, of last week, last month, right? The younger self. And every day as we mature on this planet and have a bit more life behind us, we are more intimately aware of this energy of grief, and that grief can come with heartache, that grief can come with heartbreak. But I encourage you to see it as an aching toward the love that you can continue to give and pour into yourself and the current relationships that you have. A heartbreak into more love, right? Your heart can break open to more love. Though it can feel hard to do so. And even more so, there's a kind of a push and a pull, right? That comes with the energy of love, of grief, of heartbreak, heartache, in that when you feel hurt, when you feel pain, when you feel loss, either of pieces of the self, the old self, or another relationship, it can cause one to feel a sense of wanting to contract, right? Wanting to contract, either meaning moving smaller, going inward, and or clinging to something from the past, to someone from the past, to an old self, an old way of being, an old pattern, to old conditioning that once felt normal or good or safe and secure. And also, it can really cause one to close the heart, actually, instead of keeping it open and allowing yourself to be fully aware of and feel and sense all of what you are going through, to feel and sense that breaking open, to feel and sense that heartache, and to allow it to be. And then you can use that energy and transmute that energy to create something different, create art, create a new pattern or a new pathway to loving relationships in your life with others, with yourself, with your work, with your new life. There is so much there in that moment. It is such a gem to be able to transmute that energy of heartache, heartbreak, grief overall into love, right? Into a new pattern, into a new loving relationship, whatever that may be. And I think especially in terms of familial love, you know, the love between parent and child, sibling love, those deep friendship loves, you know, the soulmates, the twin flame loves, the romantic loves, whether they were soulmates or twin flames or however you want to describe them, you know. Those loves can be really difficult to let go. And they can also be difficult to transform, right? Because even in transforming a relationship where you're moving from something old, an old dynamic, an old way of relating into something new, it does mean saying goodbye to old pieces of that relationship that was not totally in love. So you have to give space and grace for that time, for heartbreak and heartache to be, for the grief to play out. And that's not to say as you navigate, you know, new patterns of loving in relationship, if you are transforming a relationship, that grief won't ever come back up, heartache and heartbreak won't ever come back up, but it is learning new ways to navigate that serve the new pattern of relationship, the new way of relating. And that transmutation energy, it's so powerful and so beautiful if you can really learn how to hone that energy and allow it to be and blossom and bloom into something new. It's quite profound. I'm gonna read another poem here that I had written some years ago as I was on the journey of pouring more love into the self, of finding the self, really understanding the self more. And I read this as a way to mirror love and mirror the journey that one may go through within the self, whether you are experiencing heartache or heartbreak with another or old pieces of yourself currently. It's called Inner Lover. My soul so craves my other, that deep knowing inner lover, the consistent instinctual self, the one who doesn't give up until all my walls melt, the one who charges ahead ignoring the distractions, the one who is calm and centered in spite of my wildish reactions, the one who finds joy through my free flow, who never ceases to understand me through all my lifetimes of growth, who's faced and loved their inner darkness and trauma, who gave themselves the love they didn't get from their mama. I've found you inside, deeply within, used to fear all your power, so I kept you hidden. Unsure how to unleash you, too afraid to commit a sin, and now that I have you, let's begin again. I need you to be your whole damn self, that radiance and joy unmatched by anyone else. In you is my key. No need to look outside of me. Together with you, I can be free, surrendered, wild, a whole beautiful being. And as you learn to face the heartbreak, as you allow your heart to break open even further to yourself, even further to new love, to transformed love. I want you to know you are not alone. And I'm so sorry if it is painful, but you will get through it. Because you are love. Love is you. And that is the truth. And if you allow yourself to center on that truth, it will carry you through. Though love is not always sunshine and rainbows, you know, this human experience is not always sunshine and rainbows, and it is meant to be that way. We know the highest of the highs and the loveliest of lovely moments within self and other, because we also know the lowest of the lows, and we also know those really terrible moments or not so great moments, right? The uncomfortable ones, the painful ones, the heartbreak and the heartache. And those moments make us appreciate the loving moments even more, right? And this brings me to it brings me to a way that you can experience through the heartbreak, a way that you can also transmute, right? Besides just making art or creating something or, paving new pathways in relationship, you can also dive into pleasure a bit more. Whatever that means for you, right? Pleasure can mean so many things. You can find pleasure, you can feel pleasure about so many things, right? Food, sex, maybe your work, maybe it's your art. Often something so simple as being present with the nature that you have around you, the surroundings that you have around you, right? Oftentimes, something that I really love is just to be out in the sun and to just be so present with the feeling of warmth that the sun gives us, the feeling of the sun shining its light rays against my skin, right? And the feeling of warmth and comfort, right? That we can feel from something so beautiful that gives us energy and life every single day in our sky. It is so consistent and wonderful. What an absolute blessing to have the sun, right? Another thing that I really love that I mentioned in another video that I had done recently on feeling overwhelmed, which is the wind. Feeling the wind against the skin, right? The way that it picks up your hair a little bit as it passes over, the skin or the hair that you might have on your skin, or maybe if you have, a head of hair and the wind is particularly heavy, you can feel it just moving it around, especially if the wind it's gusty, right? It's really blowing. Gosh, it's so fun, hair getting everywhere. To me, sometimes it often feels like, the universe is speaking to us through these very simple pleasures that we have in this world, Something that I was looking forward to with one of my evenings is, making myself a very simple meal that would be very comforting for me, and just thinking about everything that I would make, gathering the ingredients, thinking about how I wanted to make it, how it would look, and then, getting to the moment of tasting it, and then actually enjoying it and eating it, Food is so delicious. And just taking a moment to be so completely present with the things that bring you pleasure can really help you see through moments of grief, see through moments of heartache and heartbreak. And you learn to find new ways of igniting that pleasure for yourself, even in the tiniest of ways, right? Sometimes for me, it's just, a laugh. Like, I really love to laugh. And, I'm single, I live alone, and I spend a lot of time alone. I really like to have my solitude. but also it's just that time in my life. I'm not constantly surrounded by people or in many different groups and things. And so I am often sitting with these moments of, I want to laugh, and I might write something and I might make myself laugh by something I wrote, a joke, or I kind of chat with myself while I'm making food or while I'm showering, and I'll say something and it's just funny to me. I think sometimes I'm subconsciously saying things to myself or out loud to make myself laugh because I like to laugh. Sometimes watching something funny kind of does it for me, but not always. I really enjoy, having a nice little chat and a laugh with a person or with myself. And so often, when I'm wanting that pleasure, or I can feel that I want to have that pleasure of laughter with another person, I often enjoy seeing how I can get somebody else to laugh. That's such a simple pleasure we can share with each other, is finding another person's sense of humor. Gosh, and the moment that you do, feels like a big win. You might not always get them to laugh, but sometimes, just seeing somebody smile and enjoying themselves, laughter is such beautiful medicine, and a very simple pleasure. So I hope that maybe this offering or idea of falling into pleasure a bit more as a pathway through to something new on the other side of heartbreak and heartache and any grief you might be experiencing at this time, it can help you through that. And if you have any ideas or ways that you experience pleasure, I would love to know in the comments below. Share with us here, and maybe there's something that you share that can spark an idea for somebody else as well. And in another video, that same video on overwhelm, I also mentioned play, and I'm gonna mention it again. There are so many ways to enjoy play, the energy of play. You might even replace that word with adventure, right? Or exploration. That feeling of, it kind of sparks your curiosity and your sense of fun and enjoyment, can also be mixed with pleasure a bit too, right? But that sense of like, ooh, I want to do this, or ooh, I want to do that, or yeah, that sounds so fun, using those energies of play, of pleasure, transmuting into art, all of these things can really help you move through these deeper energies that can often feel limiting, or like they're slowing you down, or you're feeling closed off, right? Especially on those days where you feel so closed off to the world, right? You don't want to talk to anyone, you don't want to hear anyone. How can you fall more deeply into these energies, even just for you, not having to think about anyone else, but just for you, and see how it changes and shifts you in those moments without really trying to, right? The goal isn't to have to change, because that's going to happen anyway. The goal is actually to play, to experience more pleasure, to create or make art, right? To be in the heartbreak, to be with the heartache, to allow grief to move through you. And you get to choose how it will move through you. You get to say, okay, yes, heartbreak. Okay, yes, heartache. I see you, grief. And you won't take over me. Instead, I will use you to make something new. Or I will use you to enjoy my life more. I will use you as a way to just experience being human more, right? You have control over these. They are feelings, but you have the absolute power. You decide. You truly decide. And I hope you know that. And I hope that it helps in the tiniest and smallest of ways. And I would love to know how it's worked out for you, how it's impacted you. And if nothing has changed, that's okay too. I feel you. It's a journey. And it's okay to take your time and to not do any of this as well. You really have all the power, and it's your decision. I also just want to say in the description box below, I'm posting some affirmations for the next 30 days that are about love. A few of them I'll just say right now so you kind of get an idea. I relate in love. I work lovingly. I dream of love. I live in love. I walk lovingly. I stand for love. I think loving thoughts. And there's quite a bit more, one for every day for 30 days. You can just look at them each day. You can play with them, use them as you wish. I'm leaving these here just because it is connected to the air element. And like I said in the beginning of the video, we're in Libra season, which is very much this energy right now. So I hope you find something useful and worthwhile in those affirmations. They're free. It's just a Google Doc. There's nothing super special about it. It's a list of affirmations that I hope are helpful for you in some way and maybe spark something along your journey of love. And if you want to connect any further or for private guidance or readings, check the description box below as well for those links. And I will see you in the next video.